everybody. My name is Tom Chesterton. I'm the Managing Director of Tonic. We're a brand consultancy. Thanks very much for joining us for this edition of TonicWith. In this series, we're trying to have really good conversations with really interesting, exciting people from the world of talent. Every time we do one of these, it will be somebody different, but we're hoping that conversation will go in an interesting direction. So thanks very much for joining us today. Really hope you get something out of this. So I want to introduce our guest for today. So today we are with Emma Mirrington. Emma is one of the most connected people I know in the world of talent. I would only do her a disservice if I introduced herself. So Emma, say hi, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about you. Who's the person behind the professional?
Yes, thanks Tom, and hi everyone. So my name is Emma Mirrington, as Tom said. I am one of the co-founders of the firm, Forum for In-House Recruitment Managers, and also have been an in-house recruiter all my life. So for the last 14 years I've had a variety of roles in different organisations, from the likes of Unilever, Sky, and more recently Mars. Currently doing some consultancy for Right Research as their talent director.
So I know that there are some interesting hobbies you've got. So what sort of things do you get up to in your spare time?
So yes, aside from being a sort of a corporate girl, I am an extreme runner in my spare time. So you'll quite often find me covered in mud and crawling through ditches and swimming through rivers. And I've actually got Tough Mudder in August, my very first one. So I'm not sure whether I'm looking forward to that or I'm absolutely terrified about doing it. But I guess we'll find out.
I think you're a complete lunatic.
Well, we'll sign you up too, Tom.
Well, eventually. I'm not maybe there in the mud stakes yet, but sometime I'm sure I will get there. Maybe. Anyway, so really interesting. Those are all about endurance and keeping going. Have you found that to be is that something that's driven you throughout your career?
I think it's about resilience. So I think for any recruiter, no matter what side of the fence you are, whether it's agency or in-house, I think resilience is a key sort of success factor to anyone. So I think if you're tough and you hang in there and you work hard, you will succeed. So I'd probably say it's the resilience that I've got.
So is that how you describe the world of talent then, as Tough Mudder, but in business terms?
Perhaps not so much wrestling, but it can definitely be challenging. And I think when it works really well is when you have the world of talent management and talent acquisition working well together. So I think particularly in more recent roles, for example at Mars and Right Research, when you combine the two, that's when you get the most success, I would say.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about that. The combination, is that something that happens naturally, or do you have to work at that?
I think it can be quite challenging. So looking at different organisations and how they structure their teams, sometimes talent acquisition and recruitment can be very distant from the world of talent management. And actually you really need to start off with your internal talent structures to understand what your talent management model is, and then what you need to do from a buy perspective, which leads to your approaches to talent acquisition and what you do there. And it sounds common sense, but I'm always surprised at how many organisations where they're two very sort of disparate functions and really don't talk to each other.
Why do you think that that level of separation exists? Is it because one is a more established function and the other one is growing and developing as we move things on, or is it just because that's something that's evolving over time and you think it will come together ultimately?
I think we are seeing talent management really growing, so increasingly just in terms of the number of roles, in terms of the organisations that have talent managers and are bringing the two together. I think we're definitely seeing that increase, especially from a firm perspective. And I think traditionally people have relied on in-house recruiters to focus on external recruitment. They've had a little bit of internal recruitment in their roles, but now we are seeing sort of the rise of talent management, I would say.
Cool, very exciting. Do you what do you think the career path you've been on has been very interesting actually? If you think about those different organisations and how they kind of flowed into each other, has that been planned, or is it something that's just happened
I would love to say it's been planned, Tom. I think I've been really lucky, and I think it's really helped. So advice to anybody sort of starting off in the world of recruitment is get as much breadth as possible at an early stage. So as most people, I started off in the agency world, but was rubbish at sales, but really enjoyed the candidate interaction and that side of things. So I was lucky enough to move in-house and then didn't look back, so had a variety of in-house recruitment roles. Then at Unilever I was given the chance to do a graduate recruitment role and was concerned whether or not to take it, because I thought that perhaps I would be pigeonholed or I could be a bit niche or just end up in graduate recruitment. And actually it was one of the best things that I did, because I then went from that into a talent management role, so I had sort of the breadth of experience. Then at Sky I went and did a talent attraction role, followed by a future talent role, and then at Mars was head of talent, so it really consolidated all of the experience that I'd had to date. So I would, it wasn't planned, I'd say it was lucky, but I would advise anyone get as much breadth as possible, whether that's RPO, whether it's in-house or even within in-house recruitment. There's so many different types of roles that you can do.
Okay. So one of the other people who we've interviewed in as part of our TonicWith series has talked about that kind of Shazam moment. Other people might call it an aha moment or whatever you like. But was it that point that you figured out that actually this happenstance had actually come together pretty well and was a career that you wanted to see through?
I knew as soon as I moved in-house, I knew that I just loved in-house recruitment, because I don't think there are many roles out there where you get the opportunity to use so many different skills and have so much variety in your role. So, you know, one day you could be doing more of a marketing type role. Obviously then when you're looking at selection, you're looking at psychology and really sort of understanding what motivates people, what makes people tick, how will they best fit into your organisation. And then you've also got the thrill of the chase, of the sourcing and trying to find that needle in the haystack. And then more latterly, in terms of the people management and building capability within teams, and obviously from a firm perspective, how we build capability within in-house recruitment. I just think there is so much variety that you don't always get in other functions.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think that's kind of the interesting thing about how talent acquisition and recruiting in general is kind of developing, is it's that mashup of different types of role, from marketing through, as you say, psychology into business operation, that really makes it very interesting.
And you often see with recruitment as well, so it follows or even indeed in some cases it leads what's happening in sort of consumer marketing. So if you look at sort of consumer facing organisations like your Amazon or Sky, they're so innovative and always sort of on the front foot in trying to do things a little bit differently and how they engage with their customers. And I think we also see that opportunity within recruitment and how we sort of follow on from that. So I'm always very heavily influenced by customer marketing organisations to see what we can potentially learn from them.
Okay, can you give us an example of how you've learned from the world of consumer marketing?
Yeah, so for example, when we look at technology like Erasma, which obviously we did with you, Tonic, when I worked at Mars, and how we use sort of technology that's been used elsewhere in consumer marketing, and then we apply that to recruitment marketing in a way that hasn't been done before.
That's very kind of you to mention that.
You're welcome. You can pay me later.
No, I will do. So lots of variety. Is that the main motivator, do you think? I think most of us, I think, in the talent space, to one degree or another, have what I've often called the magpie mind. So you're kind of you're attracted to the new, bright and shiny, but it's about that variety. It's about new things and having the opportunity to, I guess, innovate and explore a little bit. Is that kind of where your motivation comes from?
So love that, but I think primary motivation for being in recruitment is about making a difference, and sort of fundamentally when you're an operational recruiter, actually you are making a difference to people's lives, because jobs are fundamental. We spend so much time at work, and so if you're able to give somebody an opportunity that could have a significant impact on their life, I don't think you can do much more. And you know, I've always got a couple of examples in my mind of candidates that have perhaps been made redundant. They've struggled to to find work, and then you've been able to give them an opportunity, and it just makes you feel good being able to give people opportunities. And seeing graduates who've just spent the last sort of 4 years of their life working really hard, and you're giving them the opportunity to join a graduate program, and then you see them go through the program and be highly successful in their careers, and that's a really brilliant feeling to have. I think from a firm perspective, again, sort of the ability to help people and make a difference and act as an enabler for them to be the very best is something that really motivates and is sort of a key driver behind why I do what I do with the firm.
Yeah. Do you, I guess one of the logical follow-on questions then is there somebody who's acted as a role model for you, who you kind of who you think does this really well, or you're trying to emulate or repeat some of their successes?
So I remember you asking me this question. I probably have a variety of sources of inspiration, and I'd say that sort of my primary one, as for a lot of people, is actually my parents. So the fact that they were sort of self-starters, that they set up and ran their own business, worked really, really hard, and achieved a lot. So I think sort of that's where a lot of my primary motivation came from. And then I love sort of strong, powerful women who do a lot and help a lot. So Fiona Dawson, who was president and still is president at Mars Chocolate, she was a real sort of source of inspiration for me. I think she's fantastic.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Really good role models to have. Is that was it that role modeling of entrepreneurship and independence almost, and being self-determining, that kind of drew you into launching the firm, or did that come from somewhere else?
I knew that I always wanted to beat my own drum, and that I wouldn't always want to dance to the beat of somebody else's. So I think it's always been within me, and sort of career to date has just been about sort of how we build and then develop that. And that's sort of where I am at the moment. So sort of primary focus for the next 12 months is really sort of building the firm and hopefully taking it to the next level.
Okay. Do you want to give a heads up on what the firm is for those people who maybe haven't heard about it? Or
yes. So the firm stands for the Forum for In-House Recruitment Managers, and we are a membership organisation of over 7,500 in-house recruiters now, primarily UK based. However, we are building up our membership outside of the UK, and to date, really, our growth has been organic, and it's just referral and word of mouth. And we will be doing sort of more proactive growth of the membership in latter part of 2014 and 2015. Everything that we do with the firm centres around our members and centres around our 3 pillars, which is develop, support and inspire. So everything that we do, whether it's events, conferences, development programmes, will centre around one or more of those pillars.
And some good conferences as well, right?
Great conferences, and we've even been known to throw in a festival.
So that was just recently, which I went to, which
yes,
incredibly inspiring and absolutely worth going to for those people who haven't seen it.
Yes, but, Recruit Stock.
There's a website we can send people off to. I reckon there's a link. But how many people ended up going?
So we had around 120 in-house recruiters coming along to our festival in the New Forest. And again, a lot of the inspiration for that came from the fact that we wanted to develop, support and inspire our members, and we wanted to take them away from the office, put them in an unusual situation that perhaps they hadn't encountered before, and centre a lot of the focus on experiential learning. So putting them out in the forest and doing things that they wouldn't normally do, and interacting with people that they wouldn't normally interact with. So it was great. It was great fun, but also I think people got a lot out of it and did actually leave the New Forest feeling refreshed, invigorated, and also focused on what they could do differently in their lives to ensure that they could perform at their very best moving forwards. Just sort of little tweaks here and there that they could make.
What I really liked about it was the sharing of. Really open sharing of information and knowledge, and just trying to get the best out of everybody. I thought that was important. So I guess one of the things that is clear is that the firm is very successful. You've had a really successful career. Has it always been plain sailing? Have there been any things that have been maybe bumps in the road that have been learning experiences for you?
Yeah, so, oh gosh, I make mistakes all the time, don't we all? And I think one of the things that that you can do when you're in a sort of position of influence is share some of the mistakes that you've made so that other people can also learn from that. So I think probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made was actually when I was at Mars and had developed a resourcing strategy. It was implemented, it was exciting, it was going well, but one of the things that I had failed to take into account was my team and how they were feeling and where they were in terms of that journey, and how engaged they were in the vision that we'd set. So I think my sort of biggest learning from that is just about how you work with the people that you're with and how you bring them with you on the journey rather than leaving them behind. So I think people are so important, and it's been a really big learning for me.
Okay, good insight. Thank you very much. What did you do about it? How did you bring them back on, or how did you change what you were doing to?
Yeah, so went back to basics really, and sat down with them all and understood where they were at, and then how we could take it forward, and having a really collaborative approach, which is something that I will always do sort of moving forward. So sort of collaboration, so helping or getting them to help me in terms of developing the vision and how we take things forward.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So communication is key.
Yes, absolutely.
So what I want to do now is kind of take you a little bit away from your experiences to your view on things, I guess. So really in what you think, if you looked at the talent acquisition and recruiting as a whole, what would you think if you kind of looked forward maybe 4 or 5 or 6 years? What are the biggest challenges that people who are in the talent space face over the next, say 5 years?
Yeah, good question. I think it's around differentiation, because our world is getting increasingly compact and busy, and you're seeing large organisations obviously doing what they do, but increasingly we're seeing smaller entrepreneurial organisations coming into play that have double-digit growth and actually provide interesting, exciting opportunities for candidates. So I think it's going to be really challenging for people to differentiate and understand how their employment proposition can stand out from that of others. And also for the in-house recruiters, the challenges themselves are, as if they're a sole recruiter in their organisation who's single-handedly manning the recruitment with very little budgets, etc., then how can we support them to do their jobs more effectively? Because we're seeing this. So we've seen this group rise from 9% to 15% of our membership. I think we'll continue to see that rise over the next couple of years.
Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit of where I wanted to go, and I might come back to the more immediate challenges, I guess. But if you put yourself in their position, what would you think what's the one thing that they ought to be doing or thinking about to position themselves well for those challenges as they come about?
Yeah. So one, build your own capability and look after yourself. Again, I guess we link back to resilience. And you've got to be as fit as possible in terms of your technical skill set, but also your softer skill set, so that you're then able to cope with the challenges that come your way. Invest in yourself in terms of your personal development, because it will stand you in good stead. And then it's about leveraging your network and working with the very best people that you can. So if you're looking at, say, your employment value proposition, making sure that you invest that time and effort, which will then stand you in good stead in the long term. There's no point going straight out to market, or if you don't actually know what you're going to say in the first place.
Very good point. I think there might be some people who can help you in maybe this conversation.
I'm sure they probably could.
If you then said, okay, I'm looking for an archetype, I need to make my business case to the rest of the organisation about what I want to achieve and do. Are there archetypes in terms of other employers that have done a great job that you would pull out as being really good examples?
So I think it depends what it is that you actually want to do. So, for example, if you look at sourcing, then I've always been really impressed by the work that PepsiCo do. I think actually if you have a look at sort of the talent management function and how that knits together, then obviously I have first-hand experience at Mars, but I think the way that Mars do talent management and the investment in internal talent, I think I've never seen the likes of that before.
Okay. And what about in terms of so that really plays into the retention area as well, doesn't it? So not only the finding talent, but how do you hang on to people by continuing to invest in them as people and helping them to go on that career journey?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, cool. So the area I skipped over was about the kind of more immediate challenge, I guess, and in terms of if you were an employer looking at the challenges now as the economy grows and as we all become a little bit more confident in terms of what we're doing, the pressures that exist already and have existed over time. You pulled out some of those things like about reduced budgets and really businesses not actually being all that clear about what the metrics of talent are. What would you really focus on if you were trying to build out a metric model that allowed you to show value back to your business?
So I think the first thing is just understanding what the current landscape is in your organisation. So really sort of take the time to understand and do an audit really in terms of your talent management life cycle. So how you attract, select, develop, and then hold the mirror up to the organisation so they can see what's going on, and you can then explore where the priority areas are. I think it's really good to benchmark yourself externally against other organisations then once you've done that. So for example with the firm, we've got our annual membership survey. It's very easy for you to be able to do that and have a look at how your cost per hire or time to hire, for example, compares. So you then know how you're doing, and it's a good starter for 10. Have a look at various maturity models as well. They're always interesting places to start in terms of benchmarking.
Okay, so you're talking about things like the Omni maturity matrix and things like that.
Omni and Deloitte have both got good maturity matrices.
Okay, cool. And I guess the time then is in terms of where your priorities are for the next 12 months. What is the next 12 months like for you?
So obviously continuing to work with Right Research, which really exciting growth opportunities there. But big priority for me is the firm and how we really sort of build the firm and continue to support, develop and inspire our members, but really taking it to the next level. Hopefully building a platform within the next few months as well. So it's exciting times ahead.
What sort of platform?
Sorry?
What do you mean by a platform?
So a new membership platform. So we will always have the LinkedIn group, but looking at how we can support our members more, which we need to do using our own platform.
Okay, I see. And so presumably Recruit Stock is going to happen in 2015?
Yes, absolutely.
And any other growth areas you're looking at? So any other parts of the world you might be focusing on?
So hopefully, we'll be running our first event in Scotland later on this year. We'll be doing a few more regional events. We'll continue to run our focus group series, and we've just developed our Sole Recruiter Network series, which is aimed specifically at supporting recruiters who are single-handedly manning the recruitment for their organisations. We've obviously got our awards on the 4th of December this year, which is the second year we'll be doing them, so that's exciting. And hopefully running an event in the Middle East early next year too.
Wow, proper global footprint.
Yes, absolutely. Busy times.
Yeah, fantastic. So just want to say thanks very much for your time. Is there anything that you can leave us all with in terms of kind of words of inspiration before we get your contact details, how people can find you?
I would say feel the fear and do it anyway. So for me, that's been a big player in my career, and that sometimes you're not always sure about sort of a particular step, but go with your gut feel and follow it and be brave. Okay.
And how can people find you, Emma?
So Twitter at Emma Mirrington, obviously on LinkedIn, and email emma@thefirm-network.com.
Okay, cool.
And get in touch.
Good. Well, there's loads to learn from what Emma's been doing, and lots of great stuff that the firm offer. So I'd absolutely encourage everybody to be considering the firm as a part of their armoury. Lots of things to learn and to take inspiration from there. Thanks very much for joining us again today. Hope you've enjoyed this conversation. I think I've got lots of inspiration from this, so hope you have too. And we'll see you next time. Bye now.